Shabbat Shalom. We are now in the second portion, the second parasha of the book of Leviticus, Vayikra. And this is the continuation of the first portion of Vayikra about the korbanot, the offerings. I told you last week that we need to be careful about the understanding of today, and I am so glad that Dennis has done such a wonderful explanation about this, where he's going to take out from me to try to re-explain to you something that he has done such a wonderful job. One thing that I would like to bring to your attention is about that is the Creator who make us, we don't make him. And why I say this simple statement? Because all of us, we are with this interest to tell the Creator what he wants, instead to listen to him. Something that very interesting that Mauricio mentioned this morning that I like it, about that I don't want sorry, but I want obedience. Very interesting, you know. There is a statement I learned when I was working in this organization, and I was the supervisor of many groups. And somebody said to me, it's easier to say sorry than to ask for permission. You know? It's easier to say sorry than to ask for permission. Because once you do it, you can say, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I couldn't do it. But if you ask permission first and they tell you no, you cannot do it anywhere. No, that's disobedience, supposedly. Now, there are many portions in the scripture, in the Tanakh, the prophets, they're going to speak against, in a very interesting thing, against sacrifices or offerings that the people were doing. We just read in the Haftorah of this morning about that the Creator in Jeremiah 7:21 to 26, that he say, I didn't ask you when we left in Egypt to bring me animals. And then you start questioning, you know. But we're right now in Vayikra, we are reading that exactly looks like that's what he's asking. Then how we can put this together? That's the reason I say that what Danny has shared this morning conveyed a lot of things that I hope that you understood. Is the Creator is the one that tells the people certain things because he needs to bring them back to an understanding about to have a relationship with him. The idea about korbanot, or offerings, as I said before, is the idea about myself and to rebuild a relationship that is broken with the Creator and an acknowledgement who he is in comparison to me. I am the person that needs to look for that relationship. The Creator is there, is available, and he wants that relationship. But there is a term that has been using over and over again, Bechira Hofshi, that means free will. All of us, we are given that free will. And the Creator is so merciful, so great, blessed be his name, that he doesn't impose himself on us. Totally the contrary. Being who he is, he limited himself for us to come to him. And the process of these korbanot, or offerings, was voluntary. In other words, you are not pushed to do it. Only if you decide to do it, then you're going to do it in certain ways. You cannot do it in any way that you want it. And the first portion, Vayikra, is the calling. The Creator calls you. Each one of us, we are called by our own name. Each one of us, we are important to him. This second portion, Tzav, you know, Vayikra is to call, and Tzav is to command, was commanded. The Creator is going to command. He's going to ask you to do certain things accordingly to the way that he's going to describe. And here, in this portion, the word Torah is used over and over for each one of the korbanot. This is the Torah for the mincha, this is the Torah for the olah, this is the Torah for chelamim, and the hata'ah and the asham. This is the Torah. And we have used this word many times, the Torah. But what does it mean, Torah? Now, many of the scriptures, they translate it as the law. And that is a terrible translation. And there's the problem that when it went from the Hebrew to the Greek, they translated it as nomos. And they became a legalistic term, law. But really, the Torah has nothing to do with the law. It has to do with instruction, teachings, guidance. But it's totally different to what you have learned through the time. And even the translations are telling you something different sometimes when you read it. Call it Jewish translation, Christian translation, whatever translation, they put the word law. And this is totally wrong. Then this is the instruction that the Creator is giving to you. And in the first part, he calls you as individual. In this second portion, he's going to talk to Israel as an institution, starting with the Kohanim. The Kohanim, or the priesthood, they are the ones that they are going to have the responsibility to instruct and to lead the people, to teach the people what the right things that they need to be doing and how they need to be sanitized, I call it, in order that we do not go through to the way of the pagan cultures. The Creator, little by little, start winning out the Israel who was a slave in Egypt to become a free Israel outside Israel before they come to the promised land. How many of us we can say that we are totally free of impositions or ideas that they have put in our heads? How many of us we still believe in things that they don't make any sense? Because that is the way that we grew up. How many of us we are so fanatic in our religious doctrines of understanding that we cannot open our eyes to the reality of the truth that the Creator wants to give it to us. And this is why it's so important to look at these passages in a way that the Creator is instructing the priests and to say, this is the way that you need to do it. Because if you do it in any other way, people are going to get confused, and each one is going to do whatever they think that they need to do, and at the end, what is going to happen? Everybody does whatever they want to do. Our God is a God of order, no chaos. Our God is a God of freedom, not of liberty. And this is what we are following today. And actually, what the Torah talks to us for today. And what these two parashas are trying to bring it to us. What we are failing as a people in the world. There is no any longer these values of morality. The morality has totally disappeared. Now, you can do whatever you want to do, and there is no consequences for that. The scripture talk very clear about what is moral and what is immoral, what you need to do and what you don't need to do. Modern thinking, they say, everything is okay, that is not good anymore, you can do whatever you want to do. The only thing that you need to have is love. That sounds so beautiful when people say that, no? The only thing that we need is love. Love to kill your neighbor and love to do whatever you want to do. That's love. If you kill them with love, it's okay. And what is happening today is we are suffering a response from the extremes. And there are two sides of extremism. You have the right and you have the left. You know, the right, they call it the rightists and nationalistics and fundamentalists, and the left are calling the open-minded, supposedly, the liberals, the progressive, you know, they have all these terms, both. And now, look at what is the mentality today. The mentality today is the pagan idea of appeasement instead of trying to make the things right. Politicians, and including theologians and religious people, they are trying to work with the appeasement. I love and the humanity, we need to love each other and we need to hide each other and we don't need to talk anything, to the point that today, in this world that I am talking to you, we are being muscled. We cannot talk because whatever we say is going to be incriminating. It's going to call it a hate speech. And then all the politicians, they cross their eyes and their arms, and they become the ostrich mentality, the ostrich doctrine. The only thing I need to do is to close my eyes and not to see what is happening in the world. You know, it's very interesting. I'm going to give an example that's very important. In Europe, now Europe is fighting for their own identity. And nationalism is increasing. For us Jewish people, we know exactly what nationalism does. We know the Shoah, the Holocaust. We do not like it, but sometimes we get scared. But what is the problem? Who are the guilty part here? The politicians. They're open-minded. The people say, it's okay. And how they do it? There are two different levels of understanding of the justice goes in two different ways. If you come from the Middle East with your religion and you impose on others, it's okay because we cannot say anything to you. We cannot accept you. You know why? Because I am afraid if I accept you, you're going to kill me. You know, then it's always the appeasement. But if somebody from the other side say, that is not right, what they're doing, and this religion is preaching something different. Oh, you are an Islamophobia. You are a crazy. You are a hatred. But if you talk against Israel, it's okay. And right now, interestingly enough, sadly enough, in the Middle East, they're killing among themselves, and they're killing more Christians than ever. Christianity is a religion that is going to disappear pretty soon in the Middle East because of this. And nobody, including the Vatican, say anything about that. Oh, peace and love. And that, you hush, hush, hush. You know, look, I'm going to give you another example about this. They are building a mosque in the area of the Vatican in Rome, big mosque. But you cannot build a church in La Mecca or in Medina. You can bring any Quran all over the world, but dare to bring a Bible to those countries. And that is okay. This is what the Creator, you say, what it has to do with Korban, Korbanot, with the priest and the order? Because the Creator gave you an order. And when you do not follow that order, and you make differences between one and the other, you are going to fall in the trap. First of all, why is so demanding on the Kohanim? This is the key of Judaism. There is a statement that says, more is given unto you, more is required from you. You know, if you are in higher positions, you need to be more strict in your behavior and everything than person that are lower, because you are the focus of everything. Always, the one that's giving more, it requires more. If you are a teacher, they require to you certain behavior and certain attitudes. You are a carpenter, maybe they're going to demand that you are honest in your specialty. And you do your thing correct. But they won't require as much that they will require to somebody who has a higher position. It's not what the higher position is better or closer to the Creator. The what it means has more responsibility. And this is what I have been teaching all this time, in order that you understand. Do you remember I started with emunah, faith. And faith produces what? Trust, bitachon. You know, the emunah, the faith, put it in practice, that is trust. You trust. Because many of us, we believe. How many of us here, I say, leave your hand, how many of you believe in God? Not everybody. But how many of you trust God? That's a totally different idea. And then after the bitachon, the trust, comes another word that I call it the greatest gift that the Creator gave it to us as human beings. And it's Bechira Hofshi, free will. And the Creator allowed the men do things that sometimes were not the most appropriate for men, because He gave them free will. You know, one of the things that I have heard of many atheists or many those who are they call themselves no believers in the existence of the God, or they are not agnostic. You know, they say the problem of evil and pain and injustice in the world. How I can believe in a God that allows so much injustice? How I can believe in a God there's so much pain and so much suffering in the world? And let me ask you this question. Why you point your finger on the Creator and why you don't point the finger on yourself? Because injustice is not done by the Creator. You know, the injustice is done by us. The killing is among ourselves. It's the same thing, by the way, this idea about we need to stop all weapons in the world, you know? Because weapons kill. You're right, weapons kill. But who are the ones that make those weapons kill? Who are behind those weapons? No, because we do not accept our responsibility. And this is the next portion of the Bechira Hoshib, is the kavanah, the intention. And the intention of the hearts. And this is why the korbanot is so important. Because there is something that many people don't read about the Torah with the korbanot, the offerings. The Creator gave the opportunity to Israel to bring these animals or these offerings to Him. Because there was a difference that He wanted to show, first of all. We are humans and the other creatures are animals, different levels. You as human, you have the capability of reasoning. You have the capability of thinking. The animals are only instinctive. They do not have the capability to do wrong or to do right as we have. Secondly, He was going to give us, you come from this idea that you are going to appease the guy, you are going to buy me. Because, you know, sometimes I am hungry, I need to eat, you are going to feed me. That's the idea of the pagans. The Creator said, you don't need to appease me. You don't need, the reason that you are doing this is for your own sake. And the reason that you are bringing this offering is because you are doing willingly. Now, here's the key word. Willingly. What I mean when you do something willingly? That you're doing on your own. You have accepted, you have thought about it, and you know that you need to do it. And when you need to bring those animals, when you, or those offerings, when you have realized that you have done something that is not right, and that has cut your relationship with the Creator. And you need to redo the relationship, and He's there waiting for you. And that's so important to understand that part of willingly, because in these portions talks about only the faults committed involuntarily. No, bishgaga, This is the idea that you cannot be accepted committing faults voluntarily. Because voluntarily, there is nothing that you can do. And let me read something for you. Now, we just read in 1 Samuel, it says in chapter 15, verse 22, is the Lord pleased with burnt offerings and sacrifices? No. The Lord is pleased with obedience to the Lord's voice. Truly, obedience is better than sacrifice. Submissiveness better than the fat of the animals. And here comes something very interesting. Rebellion is a sin of sorcery. Presumption, a crime of idolatry. These two portions, they don't read it too often. You know, sorcery and idolatry. Which one? One is rebellion and the other is presumption. I want to do my things in my way. That it is sorcery. That's the hocus pocus. And I want to presume that I am better than anybody else, and for that reason, I am providing idolatry. And I want to be my greatest idolaters. All of us, we fall in the trap because we do not understand about the korbanot, the offerings. The Creator wants us to be responsible for our actions. And this is the reason that He always brings to us the essence of everything. I wrote in the last blog what I say in Tehillim, in Psalms, beautiful portion, very well known for many people, Psalm 51. You know, where King David, you know, this is after his sin with Bathsheba. And he is totally destroyed from inside. And he's trying to redo his relationship with the Creator. And he starts verse 16. Sacrifices doesn't give you any pleasure. Burnt offerings, olah, you do not desire. Because the true sacrifice to you, O Lord, is a broken spirit and a contrite heart you never has put down. How much more we can look at what the Creator says? Is He teaching something like many people say that God is a God of wrath? That the only thing that He wants is blood to satisfy her bloodthirsty desires? He's like a vampire. And the only one that can quench the fire of His wrath is a bath of blood? That is the God that you believe on? And this is the God that He can know. There is no way that you can come and do your teshuvah because it's impossible, because God won't forgive you. The only thing you need to do is to accept somebody else's sacrifice in order that you go free. What is religion that teaches you somebody is going to pay for your sins instead of you be responsible for what you have done? That is what today the true teshuvah is talking about to all of us. It's very easy to accept hocus pocus religions. And it's very easy that we need to do certain things, to follow certain people. They have great ideas. But let's follow what the Creator wants for us and what He's teaching us. What is the practical assessment of all of this for today? How is the world? How we are going? In which direction we are taking? Do you remember when I talked to you that the Creator make us immoral people? And our disobedience make us immoral? But what is the greatest tragedy of humanity? When we become amoral. And what it means to be amoral? And when you are like a sociopath or a psychopath, that you have lost your capability to see right and wrong. You lose your capability to have conscience. And everything is okay. You're okay, I am okay, everybody's okay. Ooh la la. And we are afraid to say what you are doing is not right. Because that is judgment. Because who are you to tell people what they're doing is not right? And this is the two sides of the spectrum. The politicians that are the hypocrites, that they allow one group to get away with murder, and then they attack another group because it's not politically correct. That's all. We live in a world that we need to be politically correct, we need to be sociologically correct, we need to be theologically correct. And what is the correctness is what the word tells us, not what the Creator tells us. And it's very interesting. If God says something, blessed be His name, not to do it, immediately the word says, that's wrong. Do it. You're right. You need to wash your face. You're free to do whatever you want to do. You always have been free to do whatever you want to do. But all of us, we are responsible for our own acts. And this is why the korbanot is so important. We're coming willingly to the Creator to tell them, we have failed you. Sorry, I did wrong. I need to make it right because I want to continue the relationship with you. Who is the one that judges? We are the worst judges. We are worse than anybody else. The Creator is ready to forgive us, to make us right. We are the one that has a problem to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. Shabbat Shalom.